Are you struggling with seeing all of your tasks in one place? Maybe they're spread out over multiple boards and you're trying to use the My Work feature and it just isn't working for you. In this video, I'm going to offer 3 different alternatives to the My Work feature.
Hi, my name is Tara, and I'm a certified Monday.com partner and the founder of SimpleDay. My goal is to help you build powerful yet simple workflows with Monday.com. If you need help with a custom implementation, my contact details are in the description below. Let's jump into today's tutorial and make Monday the best part of your week.
Before we jump into the alternatives to My Work, I want to take a minute to explain to you the concepts behind My Work and what it is trying to achieve. If you're not familiar with this feature of My Work, there's a link above to a full tutorial all about My Work and exactly how it works within Monday.com. The goal of My Work is that you have everything that you need to do in one place. You can easily find all of your tasks if they're spread over a number of boards. It can divide everything by date for you or by status, and you easily know what you need to do every day. I think that's one of the most important things that people need to know. What do I need to do today? How do I start my day? My Work offers you that option. However, like I mentioned, there are some features that need to be improved to make this good enough to be using My Work. Therefore, I recommend some of these alternatives. Let's jump into My Work and I'll show you the areas that I think could use improvement and how we're going to fix them with the alternative options. You can see now that I'm in My Work. If I click on this My Work button in the top left corner, it opens this screen for me. Again, I don't want to go through every single detail about how this works. There are a number of customization options that you have within My Work. However, the biggest issue that I have with My Work is I'm limited in the information that I can see. So here I have the tasks. I have a date column, status column, priority, and people. I can't see any other columns here. So let's just say some of the things that I need to see is a drop-down column or a numbers column or an AI column. I can't see them within my view. And in my mind, that's extremely limiting because I only have these specific columns that I can see. The alternatives that we're going to offer is going to show you that you can have different columns that you need to see. And sometimes on different boards, you need different columns. The other thing is that you can't change the order of these columns. So they're stuck in this order. I know it's only 4, but it's still stuck in this order. I have no flexibility to change the order. Additionally, you can see that I have different ways of grouping them: date view, status view, priority, or board, or one single list. But I'm still limited. I feel that I'm constricted to how Monday wants me to see the information as opposed to how I want to see it for what's best for my company. So let's jump into some alternatives that we can do instead. The first 2 alternatives to My Work is actually through a dashboard. In order to show this to you, I'm going to build a dashboard that pulls data from 2 different boards. Now, keep in mind, there always are limitations based on your Monday.com plan. So you don't want to have a million boards because it's not going to work. However, you also have limitations within My Work. So I'm going to be working with these 2 boards, the bug tracker and the task board. Let's pretend that these are the boards where I have all of my tasks and I need to know, like My Work, exactly what I need to do every day. So I'm going to create a dashboard that pulls in data from both of these. I'm going to click on this plus button and I'm going to create a dashboard. I'm going to name it My Work and create the dashboard. Now I need to choose which boards can be shown on the dashboard. I'm going to click on the task board number 1 and the bug tracker, and I'm going to click done. Now, this dashboard will pull in data from these 2 different connected boards. So the first alternative to my work within this dashboard is to add something called a table view. I'm going to click on add your first widget, click on more widgets, and then I'm going to search for table and click add widget. Now you can see I have a table widget over here, which essentially is all of the columns and every single thing that's on my board. You can see over here that it says task board number 1. And if I scroll down, you'll be able to see that I'm also connected to the bug tracker. There's just a lot here. So here's the bug tracker. Okay. So we have our 2 different boards, like in one view or one widget. By the way, if you want to separate these out into 2 separate ones, you can. Now, this is the cool part where you have the filtering and you can add the columns. So if I click on these 3 dots, I can click on settings and I can decide which columns I want to see per board. So here on the task board, let's just say that I want to see the name, 2 people columns, status, and client. Okay, so I am going to unclick all of the other columns. So that way I'm not seeing those. Okay, so I decided that I want these columns to be shown. Now, let's go to the bug tracker board. Let's say for this board, I want to have the name, the due date, customer impact, and the description. And I'll do the creation. So I want these 5 columns. Now, what I can do is you see here that I've limited the columns. So see here, I have the columns that I chose. And if I scroll down to my bug tracker, I have the other columns that I wanted. So what this does is it allows me the flexibility to see whichever columns I want and which columns are important per board. Now, I can also filter over here. So I have my filters that I can use per board. So let's just say on the bug tracker board, I don't want to see, only if group is open bugs. Okay, so I can filter and I have a more complex filter than I have on my work. Now, what we have over here is we have the boards that we want to pull data from, the columns that we want per board, and we can see everything in one place. Like I said originally, you can also divide this into 2 different widgets. So you would have 2 different boards. A great example of a way that I use this was actually for a coaching client. So they ran seminars, like they coached other people's and ran seminars about self-confidence. And they had a bunch of different widgets from a lot of different boards that pulled in their tasks that they needed to do every day and the different things that the coaches needed to know. So let's say like they had as an example, they had their summaries of all their feedback surveys, but then they also had all of their tasks there. Now, the one advantage that you have here is you also have a complex filtering system, which you don't have in my work. That's something that I really like about this setup. The second alternative to my work is a new widget that was recently added to the widget center. It's called List View. If I click on add your first widget, more widgets, and if I search for list, you can see I have this list view. I am working on the same premise that we did for the first alternative, which is having a dashboard that pulls in information from your boards. So I'm going to click add widget. And what you can see is a very similar option to what we just had, the table widget. But what it does is it combines everything together. Okay. So it's one widget combining everything together. Now, this widget, I think, is even better than the first one because there's a lot more flexibility that you have. So let's look at some of the options. The first thing that you have is the filtering, which we had in the table view. Okay. Remember, we didn't have it in my work, but we have it in the table view. You can actually add a new item directly from here, which is something that we didn't have in my work or in the table view. But what you also have is you have group by, and group by allows you to organize information in different ways. We're going to get to that in a minute. I want to go back and show you the settings here because we have some options about how we see everything here. So the first option is about how you want to see sub items. You can see it with your parent. So like the first item is what they call the parent or the item level, and the second is the sub item. We could see it like items, like one, like they're almost equal. Okay. So like you would see both the same way, as opposed to over here, this is where we see the parent and the sub item. And the last option is that we can see only sub items. This is something that doesn't exist within my work, the ability to see sub items this way. The next thing that you can do is you can select your columns. And more importantly, this is something you can't do in my work, and you also can't do it in the table view, is you can change the order of things. So I can decide which columns I want. Like, let's just say I don't want the group column and I don't want time tracking. I can unclick them, but I can also change the order of them. So see how I'm able to change the order of what we have. Maybe I don't want to see the board and just want to see status and date. I have that. Now, in the item layout, I can choose the height. This is something that you have within my work, just in terms of like how you see everything, how easily you see it. I can choose the boards, which I want, which is also something that you have the ability to see within my work. Now, the last thing that I have is the column matching. So what Monday does is it automatically matches the columns. Let's just say here we have the status. If I want, I can change that. So here for task board number 1, I can have the status column. And let's say for the bug tracker, let's just say I want source, I can have source. So you can choose the different columns that you want. You can also do this on a sub item level. Now, the only thing that I think is lacking here is the ability to decide, like we had in the table view, exactly which columns we wanted to show. You can see here that these are the only options that it's allowing me to show, similar to my work. But what they do have, which is a huge advantage, is you have the group by, is that I can decide how I want to group my boards, by board, by status, or by due date. This group by feature is very similar to what you have within my work, but you do have some more flexibility. Now, let's jump into the third option. The third option is a bit more complex. What I'm going to do is use a third-party tool called make.com to extend the functionality of Monday. There's a link in the description below to Make. What Make does, it's an automation tool that connects different tools or allows you to extend functionality. So I set up a Make scenario, and what it does is it scans my boards, remember my bug tracker and my task boards. It scans those boards every single day, and it creates tasks within this other board that I built. So I built a third board. Instead of using a dashboard like we were using before, I built a third board. And what happens is Make scans the first 2 boards, bug tracker and task board. And anytime there's a new task that's due today, that's how I set it because it's my work. Remember what I need to do today. Anytime there's a task that is due today, it automatically adds the task to this board. Now, this board has all of the columns of both boards. Okay, so I'm pulling in all of the columns. When Make runs that scenario and checks the boards, it also pulls in all of the data. So it pulls in the priority and the customer impact. All the different things from the other boards is mapped to show up here. And what happens is it also pulls in the board that it's pulled in and the group that it's pulled from. So essentially, I'm having Make scan all my boards and put everything into one place. Now, with this, I have a lot more flexibility that all of the other options didn't offer us. I have all of the filtering, okay? I have everything in one place. I can choose which columns I want to see, which ones I want to hide. Now you can make different views. So maybe I would have a view for my bug tracking tasks versus my task board or any other kinds of view and hide certain columns that I don't need. But I also have this group by feature. And the group by feature allows me to view information in different ways. So maybe I want to group the information by board. And here it's showing me, okay, this is everything on the task board and this is everything in the bug tracker board. Or maybe I want to view it by groups. Okay, so these are the different groups that I have. I can also view it by date. and other things. But this setup allows me the most flexibility to see my work and exactly what you need to do. Now, it is a little complicated to set it up. And if you don't know how to use make.com, you may need help. So feel free to reach out to us and we're happy to help you get this set up. It is important to keep in mind that you need to think about what information needs to be pulled here, how often you want to run this automation. Like sometimes people run this automation every single 10 minutes or every 15 minutes, and it's constantly running throughout the day. That would use up a lot of operations. Another version on this that I did is that it's actually connected to other boards. So what that would mean is if I change the status here, it changes it on the original board. Now, one setup that I did was someone who had like 400 different boards. So obviously it used up a lot of make actions to do this. And we couldn't connect to all of those boards because of the limits within Monday. But essentially, we had a running list of what everyone needed to do. Now, for that specific client, there was actually a group called like the traffic team, and they would look at everyone's tasks every single day to understand what everyone needed to do and then make changes based upon that. So this solution allowed them to do everything in one place. I'd love to hear from you if any of these solutions can help you prioritize what you need to do every day.
Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and remember to subscribe to receive tips and tricks on how to use Monday.com. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.